Hello and welcome to today's live English lesson here on the AM language YouTube. Oh, I think it started again. Hello and welcome to today's live English lesson here on the AM language YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me. 4:30, not 3 o'clock from now on. So I hope many of you are able to join. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and like and share the video, and there'll be more videos coming out soon as well, shorter videos, that is. So guys, what can I tell you what to expect this week on the AM language YouTube channel? Well, first of all, a big thank you, because we've reached 775 subscribers and we've now uploaded 345 videos, which is quite a lot. There's a lot of material here. Leondina, good afternoon. Welcome to today's lesson. And Irina F, hello, privyet. So, buono pomeriggio and privyet. Good afternoon to you both. So, guys, what can you expect this week on the AM Language YouTube channel? That is the question. And this week, well, today we're going to look at the best and worst ways to learn a language, and we're also going to activate the first conditional. Tuesday, we're going to look at happy money theory and education. Make sure you join me for that one. That's going to be very interesting. Wednesday, my apartment experience. This is where I'm going to have I'm going to actually show you around my apartment, and I'm going to talk about the apartment as well. There's an opportunity to learn some new language objects that you can find in every type of apartment, and discuss and talk about things in a good way, bad way, comparisons, for example. Thursday, habits and hobbies to cope with anxiety. This one should be quite This one should be quite a good one. And Friday, music English, word building. So that's what you can expect on this week's AM Language YouTube channel. Leondina says, today I'm over the moon as my favorite football team has won the Italian championship. Well, congratulations, Leondina. And okay, well, I didn't know that you were a fan of football, but I myself am a fan of football. Actually, let's just see how that table is at the moment. Serie A League table. Well, first of all, if you do support Inter Milan have won the title. So congratulations, Leondina, and anyone who supports Inter Milan. Atlanta have done very well. They're finishing second. Juventus in third. AC Milan in fourth, and Napoli in fifth. It's going to be that's a close finish. Anyone between 5 and second can finish anywhere, second, third, fourth, and fifth. So that's interesting. There's still a lot to play for, but Inter Milan have won comfortably. So I'm not surprised by that. In some ways, I would say that the Serie A at the moment is probably a little bit closer in competition than the Premier League. So yeah, well done, Leondina. Well, not well. I mean, okay, you didn't play necessarily, but congratulations. That's what I should be saying on your team finishing top. Okay, so on today's in today's lesson, the best and worst ways to learn a language. Okay, I'm going to put some options on, and then you guys can tell me what you think. So the first option is this. A. Learning a language on an application like Bumble or apps, and B, we're going to go with Hello, Sandra. Guten Tag. B, listening to songs in that language. And finally, C, Alida, good afternoon. And then in terms of your time, because you are 5 hours behind us, so it's still the morning for you. So buenos dias. Okay, guys. So let me know what you think, and I will give you my personal opinion. This is more of an opinion based lesson. I am going to introduce a little bit of first conditionals here and there, but don't forget, guys, if you want to give me your opinion, you can go in with phrases like, if you're going to give me your opinion, use phrases like I believe, I feel that, um, I think, or in my experience, I would say. So you've got a few options. Hello, good afternoon, Francesca. Welcome to today's lesson. So throughout this, I'm always going to give you some options, and you can give me your personal opinion, and I am going to give you my personal opinion. Um, what's the question? Which is the best way to learn English? Yes, we are going to be talking about what are the best ways to learn English and what are the worst ways to learn English, or for that matter, a language. I'm going to give you some options. If you think it's a good way, let me know. If you think it's a bad way, let me know. And if you at the end we can decide what the best ways are. So between A, B, and C, you might think all three are very good ways. You might think all three are rubbish. Or you think none of them are good, none of them are bad. But in the end, we're going to work our way towards and decide what we think are the best ways to learn a language, such as English. Now we've got A, learning a language on apps. Now I'm going to give you my personal opinion here. Um, Oh, let's see. Leondina says, in my experience, I would say the best way is listening to music. Well, if you agree with Leondina, let me know. I would say that learning music is a pretty good way. Now, apps. I have a thing with apps. This is it. Some apps can be quite good. Some apps are terrible. When you're at the very start of trying to learn a language, I think there are a lot of good apps for beginners and elementary students. I think there's some really good apps there, but I think it's limited. So I think it can be a very good way to learn a language from the beginning, but you're always going to be limited. If you want to really learn a language, I think it's not the best way, but it is a very good way to get started. So that would be my personal opinion about A. Alida says, in her experience, she would say that watching TV shows and movies and reading books are also good. Evelina says the best way is watching movies in English, and Irina F says that she agrees with Alida. Well, let's move on to this next one. B, listening to songs in that language. Listening to songs in that language are a fantastic way to learn a language because you learn language in chunks. Um, it depends what level you are, I would say. It's always going to be very limited when you are a beginner, for example. You can learn little chunks. I think once you have a basic grounding in a language, it can be really, really good. So I would say once you're like elementary, pre-intermediate, learning a language through music becomes really good. So you might not see a huge amount of results when you are a beginner, But if you're all of a sudden like around a pre-intermediate level, intermediate level, then I think you can see a really big jump in language. And it's the same with reading. Irina that she says that she agrees with Alida, and Sandra says that I believe a good way to improve English skills is watch movies in the original language, maybe with subtitles. Now, on the subject of music, watching films, again, I completely agree. I think watching films is a fantastic way to learn language, especially with subtitles. That's always good. Again, I think your level here is going to make a difference. So, what you watch in another language and your level, there's going to be some difference over here. I would say if you're pre-intermediate or intermediate and you're watching films in English, I think that's where you can see a really big jump, a huge improvement potentially. But I would say it depends what. So if you're a pre-intermediate or intermediate, I think certain TV shows become really good, such as Friends, How I Met Your Mother. Those TV shows are really good for learners. So if you're pre-intermediate or intermediate, I suggest start watching things like Friends, How I Met Your Mother. They're very good. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. These are really good ways to learn English. Make sure you are looking at the subtitles. And when you come across or hear new chunks of language, make sure you write them down. Now, if you're a beginner, you're not going to see results very quickly. But as your English improves, that's when you can begin to see a lot of improvement. And then once you hit like up intermediate level and stuff, try and find things that are maybe a little bit more difficult. Maybe classics, for instance, classic movies in English. Things like let's see. Now, it does depend on how quickly some people speak, but I would say if you were to watch, depends what you're going for. I mean, if you like your mafia movies, like I do, then I would say once you're even intermediate, you can watch The Godfather in English with subtitles. That's going to work. Um, if you try to watch something like Suits in English, Suits is really difficult because they speak really quickly. So I would say it's important to pick the style of movie, and humor. Watching something in the language will teach you a lot about humor, which is why it's about finding the right humor for your level. I would say American humor is probably easier to understand a little bit because American culture is a bit more international. UK sense of humor, that requires a little bit of research. You've got some fantastic stuff which are very good for learners, people learning English, but there's some very difficult ones in there. So I can't read your name, but you're from Russia. Welcome to the lesson today. Thank you very much for joining. Make sure you subscribe if this is your first time on the channel. So you're saying that I'm from Russia and I've studied in your school English. That was an amazing experience and weigh my opinion. Thank you very much. Just one thing, when you're going to use school English, it's going to be instead of school English, English school. It's just going to be the other way around. Alida says, I've recently joined an English book club. I think it's great to improve speaking. Now, I'm going to move on to the next thing, and that's to do with books. So we've started off with apps. We've said that apps, good when you're starting to learn a language, when you're a beginner, but they're limited. Once you hit pre-intermediate, intermediate, watching films, listening to music becomes really good. Let's look at the next law. So, D, reading books. E, Okay, so the next D, reading Facebook's, reading books, reading news articles, and Facebook posts. I'm also going to include Twitter posts and Instagram posts and so on and so forth. Basically, social media. I'm going to say this. I'm going to write my opinion. So I feel if you want to learn properly, you will choose to read books. That's a first conditional. You've got if, present simple, plus will, and then the infinitive. Now, why do I say properly? Well, it's to do with the quality of English. Lida says reading news articles is also good. A lot of new vocabulary and collocations. Absolutely. I'm going to come on to news articles in just a moment. But books are a fantastic way to improve the following. It improves your grammar. It improves your spelling in English, because spelling in English can be difficult. It improves your range of vocabulary. And it improves the way you think in English as well. And it will improve your writing. So the more you read, the better your writing will be. It's not necessarily going to improve your listening unless you're going through, unless you've got a listening app. So audiobooks where you can read and listen at the same time, that's when your listening skills can improve. So just by reading and with audio listening, with audio, you can improve your listening, reading, and writing, all of which eventually can make a difference to speaking. But if it's going to improve speaking, you need to be part of like a book club where you get to speak. But reading is one of the best ways to learn a language, without question. But it's about finding the right type of book for your level. And that isn't always easy, but you've got quite a lot of, like, for instance, at AM Language, we have a small library. It's small, but you've got lots of books that are graded for different levels. If you are at AM at the moment, I don't know what the policy is at the moment because of COVID, but I know come June, things will open up again. There might be the option to go in to get a book from the library, but you would have to. I'll find that out actually. I'll find out what the policy is. But if you are there, go and rent books at your level. It makes a huge difference. Alida says reading news articles is also good. A lot of new vocabulary and collocations. Sandra says, do you know the app? News in Levels. Yes, I know the website, but I haven't tried the app. This is an app you can find news articles in different English levels. Actually, that's a fantastic suggestion. News in Levels. I have not tried the app. I have been on their website. It's very good. And it brings us on to the second one, which is to do with articles. Francesca says, but sometimes the subtitles, aren't true. Yeah, subtitles, like for instance, even on YouTube, you got lots of, they don't quite translate properly. But I would say the majority of the subtitles will be correct. Leondina, undoubtedly, reading books is a great way to learn a foreign language. And Francesca says that for her, D and E. Now, E, reading news articles. Absolutely, reading news articles are a fantastic way to learn English. You don't have to read for long. An app like News in Levels is excellent because you get to read what you're interested in. And that makes a huge difference. Huge difference, sorry. So reading articles, really important, and then you get to talk about them as well. Now, one of the worst ways, now those are the best ways, those are some of the best ways. One of the worst ways is looking at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram posts. Now, why do I say this? Can you find some good stuff on Facebook? Yes. Can you find some good things on Twitter? Sure. Can you find some good things on Instagram? Yeah, you can find some good stuff. But oh my word, there is so much rubbish. So I'm not just saying bad, but really bad stuff. Because you've also got some people who are advertising their services to teach English. And some of the things, especially on Facebook, and some of the things they are teaching are just wrong. So you've got to be really careful who and I would say this, you've got to be careful who you follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So if you follow, obviously follow AM language, obviously, but I would say make sure you do your research a little bit. If you are following anything or anyone on social media, make sure that there's a good reputation around them, that the language that they're putting out is correct. It makes a huge difference. You've got a lot of people on there with a lot of followers, and there's just some utter rubbish. So when I'm saying utter rubbish, I mean really bad, utter rubbish. So I don't think it's a great way at times. Alida says that she follows BBC Learning English and AM, of course. Fantastic. And BBC Learning, I would say this, BBC Learning is brilliant. BBC Learning is actually fantastic. And AM Language, of course, are brilliant as well. Okay. Let's go with the next one. Which statement do you agree with? Okay, which statement do you agree with? Okay. Do 1 second. Which one is the best option if you want to improve your speaking fluency? A, if you want to improve your speaking fluency, you will read articles. Sorry, B, if you want to improve your speaking fluency, you will chat on social media. C, if you want to improve your speaking fluency and speak, yeah, you will go to places where you can speak the language. Of course, all of you are saying C, and that's the point. C, if you want to speak, you've got to go to places where you can speak the language. Now, in some places, you have something called cafe chat. Now, cafe chat is something I joined when I wanted to learn Italian. I was going to go to Italy. No, had I been to Italy? It was a long time ago, and I lived in Edinburgh. Yeah, that's it. So I was living in Edinburgh at the time, but I wanted to learn Italian. I wanted to speak it, so I went to something called Cafe Chat. Go along and you speak. So you've got that. You've got online forums as well. Francesca says A and C. C definitely A. It. I don't know about the reading one. I think it'll definitely improve your accuracy. Fluency, possibly. It depends what level, I would say. Um, but, and this is a really important thing, when you're in a place, when you go abroad, yes, you get a chance to speak English. When you're in a place like Malta, speak English. It's so important to force yourself to speak English. So, how do you do this? Well, first of all, you've got to take risks. There are a lot of times when people are maybe a little bit shy to try and speak because they are scared to because they're scared they might make mistakes, or sometimes they feel they don't have enough language. Trying to say something is better than not saying at all. Sandra says most improving I had definitely when I was in AM language school. Thank you very much, Sandra. Um, I would say there. Yeah, the most improvement I would go with there. So the most improvement is when you go to a school like AM language. You're physically there, and you get to talk to students and teachers. And you might even get to know some local people as well. Now, I'm going to introduce another thing here, another idea here. Now, this isn't possible at the moment because of COVID. Is like Malta is still closed, but it's going to go. It's going to open up in the summer to some degree. It's really important that you go out and you're with friends, but you try to talk to people that you don't know. Now, this is an interesting thing. When you try to talk to people you don't know, obviously, I'm going to say choose your place carefully. But that can be a great way because you're then forced to speak English. It's about making sure you find yourself in an environment where you have to speak English. This is the best way to improve your fluency. Um, Now, I would say one of the difficulties is though is you might okay, I'm just going to put this out there because it often happens. Maybe you're from Spain, sorry, you're from a Spanish speaking country and you're living with other Spanish speaking people. You're from Turkey and you are just with Turkish people. You're from Italy and you're just with Italians. This can happen from time to time. My advice is make a rule. Don't speak Italian. Don't speak Spanish. Don't speak Russian. Don't speak Turkish. You force yourself to speak the language because a big part of speaking and fluency is thinking in the language. The best way to improve fluency, whether it's writing or speaking, is to think in the language. So that's my advice on that one. Now, let's look at the next one. Let's go with, okay, I'm now going to do numbers. Okay. And okay, what do we think about these? What do you think about these options over here? I'm going to give you my personal opinion and then you guys can come in. So, dating apps. I would say dating apps can be useful. Um, it depends on what type of dating app you're using. And it does depend the sort of people you end up talking with, who you end up talking to. It's not the best way to learn a language. I would say it's just not a good way, but it can be a useful tool to try and meet people who speak the language that you want to learn. So that can be useful. So it's not a great way to learn a language, but it can be a good way to actually meet people. Two, dating someone who speaks English as their first language or speaks English well. Yes, that is obviously going to be very helpful. Is it the best way to learn a language? It can help you with your fluency. It doesn't mean you're going to get good at the language in terms of accuracy. Three, making friends with people who speak English very well. This, out of options 1, 2, and 3, for me, this is the best option. Um, Making friends with people who speak English very well. I would say this is the best option. And you might ask yourself, well, what are the best ways to make friends with people who speak English well? Well, I would say the first thing is, if you are, let's say, you're going to come to Malta and you want to try, you've booked your lessons and all the rest of it. You can try and join certain things where you are going to speak, where you're going to meet English people, well, people who speak English. Getting a part-time job somewhere can be really helpful. It's amazing how for instance, one of the things I would recommend if you come to AM Language is you can be a student rep, which is a representative, and you get to meet lots of different people, not just students, but English speakers as well. You can get jobs, part-time jobs, working in cafes, for example, makes a huge difference. Working in bars, working in restaurants. These are really good ways to also learn the language. Um, I would just say if you do come to Malta for, let's say, 6 months and you're going to get a job, make sure the job is, I would say the best time is probably evening work. Now, why do I say evening work? One, your lessons, if you're a long-term student, will probably be in the afternoon most of the time. Sometimes morning, but most of the time the afternoon. Two, if it's in the summer, you want to enjoy your day, meaning you want to have time to go to the beach. You want to have time to swim. You can do that in the morning, for example, and then go to your afternoon lessons. The evening is quite a good time to work if it's in a bar, certain cafes, restaurants. They're busy. You'll have a plenty of opportunity to speak in English, and it's also a great way to meet people. So if you do decide to go to Malta and you're looking for work while actually studying, while going to AM Language to learn English, my advice is if you can find evening work, that's your best option. The second best option is morning work, but I'm not sure what type of jobs you'll be able to find that you're going to enjoy doing. Most popular, probably afternoon jobs, but for the sake of your lessons, I would encourage you to try and avoid afternoon work if possible. Leondina says, I feel that if you have friends who speak English very well, you will improve your speaking fluency. Yes, 100%. And nice conditional there as well, Leondina. So Leondina here has used the first conditional. If plus present simple plus will plus the infinitive. So well done. Sandra says, unfortunately, I don't have good experiences with dating apps. For example, Tandem. I have not tried Tandem. I've tried Tinder. I know I've heard of Tinder. I'm very happy to say I'm not using dating apps, and I don't need to use a dating app actually. No, because I'm currently I'm I'm currently in a relationship, so I don't need to use an app. But I would say that dating apps like Tinder, I haven't I used it once. Um, in my experience, I've used a few. I have mixed. It's not my style. I'm going to say that. Evelina says I have a island friend. Think it's good for me. Okay. Here I would say I have. You've got two options: a friend from Ireland. That's one option, or I have an Irish friend. So those are the two ways that you can use this. Either an Irish friend or a friend from Ireland. Yeah, that really helps. Good luck with the accent. That's what I would say. They have quite a strong accent. So yes, guys. I would say for that one. Yeah, so I would say dating apps, not really not very good to learn a language, but it's a good way potentially to meet people. Obviously, if you end up dating someone, that helps. Um, and but if you end up with a circle of friends, that really helps as well. So let's move on to the final question in terms of the best and worst ways to learn a language. Okay, so A. Okay, Sandra says, I misunderstood. What do you mean with dating apps? Tandem is an app. Oh, right. Okay. No, I don't know Tandem. When it comes to dating apps, I know Tinder, Bumble, and one other, something like Hinge or something. Tandem, I don't know. I'm sure that you've got friends apps, just not dating apps, but probably friends apps when you go to a new place. I think you must have. There must be some apps like that. Sandra says you can find English students. Um, so A, always translate everything back into your first language. Yep, that's one option. B, try to think in your language. Yes. And C, look up words in your dictionary and then translate them into English. Yes. So you've got three options here. Which ones do you think are your best options? And which ones do you think are your worst options? Um, Let me know what you think. Now, I'm going to tell you what I think, and then you can come in. Always translate everything back into your first language. This is something you're going to do when you're a beginner, when you are and an elementary. Um, from pre-intermediate onwards, though, please don't. It's not a good idea. You don't. It's very tiring. You don't need to. There are times when it's useful and very good, but try if you're pre-intermediate onwards, you really should not be trying to translate everything back into your first language. B, try to think in your language. No, this is terrible. This is one of the worst ways to learn a language, and that is to always think in your language. You need once you reach pre-intermediate, you need to try and think in that language. It's so important. Start thinking in English. So, for instance, I'm currently trying to learn Portuguese. It's important for me, if I'm going to try and speak Portuguese, to think in Portuguese. If I want to improve my Italian, because my Italian is not very good, I need to think in Italian. Um, so, um, let's see. Francesca says, C. Leondina says, I'd rather say that the options A and B are the worst, and Sandra says C. Yeah, look, A, B, I think are bad options. C, look up words in your dictionary and then translate them into English. This is also a terrible way to learn a language. Now, why do I say that? Well, the reason why I say that is because you don't have the context. Words have lots of different meanings, as you know, and there's lots of false friends. Are there occasions when it can be useful? Yes, but not all the time, and it's not the best way to learn a language. I would also say that when you come across a new word in English, look the word up in an English dictionary, not a German dictionary or an Italian dictionary, and so on and so forth. It's because you don't have the context. Context makes a huge difference. So I would say looking it up in your language. Okay, if you're at the beginning of learning a language, sure, go ahead. You don't have enough language to look at an English dictionary. But I would say once you're pre-intermediate and definitely an intermediate student, really important that you begin to look up words in an English dictionary. It is so important. Okay, guys, and thank you very much. That takes us to the end of today's lesson. Thank you so much for joining. It's now 5:15. So thank you to everyone joining. There's been lots of you today. To everyone in the live chat comments, Sandra, Yadina, Francesca, Evelina, Irina F, Alida. I can't mention your name from Russia, I'm afraid, because I can't read it. And anyone else who participated, thank you so much. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, 4:30, with another live English lesson. Leondina says, thank you. You too, Evelina, you too, Sandra, you too, Alida, you too as well. So I'll be back tomorrow with another live English lesson. Thank you so much for joining and have a great evening. You're welcome. Take care, everybody. Make sure you like the video. And if this is your first time, subscribe to the channel. Really important. And yeah, great. Thank you very much, everybody. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.